Hey everyone, this week's review is a little different because we have such comparable, similar subject matter, which makes for a little bit more of a scientific review. We've got two Autoart Lamborghini Countaches made about 10 years apart by Autoart, and it's kind of an interesting way to check where things were 10 years ago, 15 years ago, where they are now. So the first one is the 5000S, which is about the middle of the product cycle. This is probably about a 1985-ish, judging by the bumpers and whatnot. And this would have been Autoart Millenium, which was pretty much the sweet spot of all the Autoarts. These came in sealed boxes, no window boxes. The details on these were great. This, of course, was fully metal. This is like a decade or more before the switch to composites, which some people hate. Retail on this would have been probably between $79 and like $99 at most. Probably around 2003-ish, maybe 2005. So interior detail, from what you can see, very good. You have your separate seat belts. You've got your carpeting. You've got your doors with the little struts. They click in place. Got a little bit of detail in there with the spare tire, the battery, everything there. Everything you expect from an Autoart. Very good wheels and tires. Hard to make out the brakes with these wheels, but again, everything's good. Shut lines are pretty good. Working headlights, which is switch activated. Very cool. This one does not have a rear strut. It's carpeted. Engine detail, if I can get it open. Engine detail, very good. Today's Autoart, you don't get anywhere near that level of engine detail. So that's kind of the heyday of Autoart. Packaging, again, this was the signature of a Millenium, is a closed box, no window box. This was not numbered. That's the only downside to the Millenniums back then. They were not numbered, which, I don't know, I like the idea of a serialized numbered car. Makes it feel more worth the money. So then we have a car that I picked up recently, the 25th anniversary, which I had some internal argument myself that I didn't need a car this similar to something I already had, but I've always loved the 25th anniversary, so I tried justifying it to myself, and I justified enough that I bought it. So here we are. Much of this tooling is probably the same, so we've got the same working headlights. The difference is this has become what's called a signature. Autoart signatures are pretty much the top of the line. They come numbered with certificates and pamphlets. I think I maybe have only 10 or 15 signatures. I mean, retail can be as high as $350, $400 for a signature. A little rich for my blood. You've got a really nice scaled hinge there, hallmark of a signature. You now have a scaled strut there that was not on the Millenium. Engine detail, still very good. Not better than the Millenium. Now this retails for about $259. So you have to ask yourself, man, why did it get so much more expensive over the years? It's not really that much of an improvement, if really any. This is car number 449. Again, I do appreciate the numbering. Now comes a bit of a rant. I got this car for about $155 was the buy it now, plus shipping and tax and everything, so about $175. This car was marked new. And my lecture to anyone selling on eBay, if you don't know the history of the car you have, don't call it new. Because it arrived, and it clearly wasn't new. First of all, it came missing the certificate, and it came missing the booklet. I contacted the seller and they said that's how it comes, and no, it didn't. I showed them proof, and then they miraculously found the certificate. So that's good. Here's the certificate, which was clearly a little rough for wear. This is the pamphlet, rough for wear. So this car was very much not new. I didn't really overpay for it. New, it's about $205, $209 from, say, Diecast wholesale models. So it's not like I got ripped off. But then I have this issue of, well, the rear doesn't fit very well. See that? My Millennium doesn't do that. So how do I know if this is just a factory flaw or if this is an issue from it being used? So again, don't mark something new if you don't know the history. I'm not so wrong that I left negative feedback. I chose not to leave any feedback. But I was a little frustrated. I tried to tell the person, you know, how they should sell the rest of their cars. She's like, well, it's my son's, and my son had said, or my son did this. Well, that's, again, just leads to disappointment. A lot of other people would have left her negative feedback or returned it altogether. This is the clamshell for a Signature. Comes with instructions on how to open everything. A little door opening tool. Again, that's some things you didn't quite get with the Millennium, which is kind of nice. Again, you have the numbered certificate. And this is the outer box. I think pretty much all Signatures, or most Signatures, are just a black box these days. The other interesting thing is the weight. The Millennium was 776 grams. And the Signature was 730. Difference of like maybe 7% for some rough math. In other words, you got more metal back then. So again, less price, more metal. This doesn't really have any more detail overall. It's numbered, and it's at least 3 times as expensive, and you're getting less metal. I still love it. It's not as worth it as this was for comfortably under $100. I probably paid $50 for this around 2005. So that's why, you know, resin has kind of snuck in, and there's so many more resin cars, because you can sell them at much less price points, and the details have gotten pretty good, but it doesn't open. So they each have their pluses and minuses, but around 2000, 2005, you get all the Autoarts you want for $100. That was about as good as it got in the hobby. So a little bit sad that I don't think those days will return. I don't see how. Things have only gotten more expensive to manufacture in China. So gobble up all the classic Autoarts you can when you can find them at a reasonable price. So that's it for this week. Have a good one. Like and subscribe.